honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to begin by thanking TV9 for this opportunity to come and address you today. It is indeed an honor and a privilege. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed and everywhere. The ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Those of you who are familiar with William Yeats will recognize these words from his poem, The Second Coming. Yeats wrote this poem in the aftermath of the First World War in 1919. This was a time of great upheaval, a time of death and destruction. The poem describes a world where the old order is collapsing, where the forces that once held together society are failing, where there is no hope and is filled with utter chaos, and where a new, potentially dangerous force is rising. Today, my friends, these words are once again speaking to us. As we speak, the world is reeling from conflict, from injustice, from disaster. Yet, the need for us to come together increases. The divides between us seems to widen. Our true and tested systems that have prevented a world war from breaking out for close to 8 decades, seems to be failing, threatening chaos and loss of order. Intolerance, hate, fear, and indeed fear-mongering seems to be increasing. Isolationism, extreme nationalism, xenophobia, once so out of fashion, seems to be the order of the day. The question is, will this time of upheaval and chaos give way to a period of revival and growth? Will it result in a new international order, or should it? The international order, as we know it, was established following the Second World War. When we say the international order, we often mean the institutions of global governance set up after the Second World War, organizations such as the United Nations and the international financial institutions. It is also understood to refer to a post-Cold War, unipolar world where a single power dimension dominates and the rest evolve around it. Now we know that our multilateral systems are under threat. More importantly, why wouldn't it be? When you have a member of the United Nations Security Council undermine the very principles of the United Nations Security Council, which was intended to protect and uphold, how can the system survive? When you have an international system that refuses to see genocidal acts committed against an innocent people broadcasted across the world for everyone to see, when the perpetrators openly defy the international courts, its jurisdictions, the conscience of the world, and still get away with it, how can the system survive? So perhaps this is the moment for a rebirth of the multilateral system, of the international order. There are a few reasons why I say this. First, when the current international system was established at the end of the Second World War, the majority of the countries of today did not exist. India, of course, was one of the founding members of the United Nations, although it had not yet become independent. But the majority of the small states, small island developing states, Eastern Europe, and the countries of Africa, these countries had not gained independence yet and were not members of the United Nations. The systems of governance of the United Nations were therefore not designed with these states in mind. It was designed to the realities of that time. And while the reality changed over time, the designs never did. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the Security Council of the United Nations. While the membership of the United Nations grew several-fold, the Security Council has undergone expansion only once. No permanent seat for Africa, underrepresentation for developing countries, and for the 60 countries that have never served in the Security Council, nearly half are small island developing states. And the result, an unrepresentative and an unresponsive council. A council that doesn't reflect the realities of the world, that the global south is no longer a term associated with underdeveloped, poor countries, that we are here, we are able, and we are ready to serve. Like we saw during the pandemic with this great country, India. India rose to the challenge with determination. Not only did you serve your people, but you served the world. From vaccines to medicines, from your skills to your generous assistance, you held out a helping hand near and far. You didn't need to do it, but you did, because you were able to and you felt it your duty to help fellow developing countries, from the Maldives here in your neighborhood to the Caribbean, the Pacific, and Africa, much further away. We saw the same with India's G20 presidency. India chose Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, as its theme. A genuine effort to include and ensure that voices of the developing countries were heard, a first for many of us. And so in a reborn new international order, the global south should and will play a more decisive role. It will be an order designed with the current realities in mind. And second, a new international order must be more sympathetic towards a range of challenges that countries face today. 80 years ago, when the current international system was conceptualized, the key focus was rebuilding lives and livelihoods. Today's challenges are more multifaceted. Our planet is dying, and so are our ocean ecosystems. Natural and human-induced disasters are increasing. Countries continue to face high levels of poverty with high levels of debt. No problem is singular. They all seem to connect to each other. Therefore, in my opinion, a new international order will take into account the fact that the multifaceted, multidimensional, transboundary problems will require approaches that are also multifaceted, multidimensional, and shared. Which brings me to my third point. A new international order will still require commitment to old principles. It will require strong belief in multilateralism. Today, we live in a globalized world where people and products travel easily across borders, bringing us closer, making the world seem smaller. Where a device in our pocket connects us to people and their causes across the world. Where problems are transboundary, and therefore solutions must be too. There is no room for going it alone. We can only overcome when we work together. And so it is not less multilateralism we need more. My dear friends, this is where I leave you at. Yes, this indeed looks like to be an opportune time for a new international order. At times of upheaval and chaos, we have come together in the past to create calm from chaos, order from anarchy, beauty from destruction. We have managed to unite and not destroy. We have even thrived, even while facing adversity and unprecedented challenges. This will be a new international order that is sympathetic towards developing countries, one that includes us all, small and big. An international order that cherishes the principles of dialogue, unity, promotes and even champions multilateralism, for it is multilateralism that reinforces equality and working together that drives us forward. I thank you.
Can we have a round of applause for His Excellency Abdullah Shahid?
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to begin by thanking TV9 for this opportunity to come and address you today. It is indeed an honor and a privilege. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed and everywhere. The ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Those of you who are familiar with William Yeats will recognize these words from his poem, The Second Coming.